B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I want A+. English because it's so much fun. English education for you and everyone, so come along. Learn some grammar, learn a phrase, learn something new every day. Learn the A+ way. Hey, it's time to start the show. Are you ready? Good, 'cause here we go. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I want A+ English.
Hi everyone, welcome back to A+ English. I'm Pat.
And I'm Mike.
And we're with Simon and Lucia. They're in Tainan and it is really hot.
That's right. July in Tainan is really... Well, July in Taiwan is really hot, but if you go further south, it'll be that much hotter. And Simon, being from England, is not really too used to this. He's doing okay. He might, consider it part of life in Taiwan in the summer, but he definitely notices it. His body notices it more than Lucia, who's kind of used to it. So he was sweating a lot, but they did get a little relief from the heat in the 7-Eleven they went into. He was really enjoying the air conditioner in there.
Yeah, well, how do you stay cool in summer?
Air conditioner.
Okay. Do you often just go into a 7 for no reason, just to cool down a bit?
No.
Because I will do that.
I don't really do that, but the last time I was in Hong Kong, I did appreciate the fact that they have big doors open all up and down the shopping streets. So you can kind of walk past all these different stores and this blast of cold air comes out. So you don't really have to duck into a store. But yes, if it was too hot, I might go into a 7-Eleven or a coffee shop and spend, 10 or 15 minutes in there cooling down. That's a good little trick to have.
Yeah, popping into a department store for just a moment to use a bathroom in there, enjoying their AC, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And drink plenty of water.
Yes, definitely.
Well, so let's see what else Simon and Lucia are up to in Tainan and whether the heat will allow them to have fun. Let's read through.
Culture shock! Culture shock. Beating the heat. Warm-up question. How do you stay cool in summer? Simon and Lucia are at Anping.
Do you miss the weather in England?
Not on your Nelly. It's cold and it rains all the time. At least it wasn't humid, though.
It wasn't humid in Canada.
Lucia remembers being outside in Canada. The sky is clear and there are many trees.
My skin got dry, though.
They are walking along a street.
We should go into another 7-Eleven to cool off.
I have a better idea. This way.
Lucia leads Simon down a road.
We can have some cold douhua. It has lots of ice and sweet toppings. This store is famous for its douhua.
They order some douhua.
Oh, it looks scrummy.
They eat the douhua.
How do you cool down in the summer in England?
Simon thinks about ice cream.
Lots and lots of ice cream.
Sounds great.
Miss. Miss. Bill lives in the U.S. He misses his parents in Taiwan a lot. Bill lives in the U.S. He misses his parents in Taiwan a lot. Skin. Skin. Be careful. That knife is sharp. It could cut your skin. Be careful. That knife is sharp. It could cut your skin. Dry. Dry. My mouth always feels dry. Maybe I should drink more water. My mouth always feels dry. Maybe I should drink more water. Famous. Famous. Everyone knows about this famous restaurant. It's hard to get a table there. Everyone knows about this famous restaurant. It's hard to get a table there.
认识字汇
Topping.
All right, so the beginning of this dialogue for today, they're still in Tainan, as we mentioned, but they've moved off to another area of the city, one of these sort of older areas of the city. It says Simon and Lucia are at Anping. So this is where you would go. It's a little bit further out towards the coast, towards the water, and it's where some of the older buildings, like the fort that we just briefly mentioned yesterday, is. But if you're a tourist, if you're a visitor to Tainan, it's one of the places you definitely have to check out.
So they're talking about the heat and weather in general, and Lucia asks, do you miss the weather in England? So there she used England, England, rather than Ingguo, which is the word for the UK. So she's just making a distinction between England and Britain, or the UK, which is 4 countries, one of which is England. So that's why she uses that particular word. So she asked Simon if he missed the weather. To miss something, M-I-S-S, miss, this is a verb and our first word power word. To miss something is to feel bad because you had something before, but now it's gone. Or someone or something is far away and you can't experience that thing or see those people anymore. And you feel sad because you can't do that. So we say we miss them. Here's an example. Bill lives in the US. He misses his parents in Taiwan a lot. Bill lives in the US. He misses his parents in Taiwan a lot.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of normal, right? When you're far away from home, the people that you left behind, you are definitely going to miss them. That feeling of being homesick is sort of a strong feeling of missing people or places that you're not around anymore. So, Simon, do you miss England, or do you miss the weather in England? And Simon apparently does not miss the weather in England at all. We know that because he says, not on your Nelly. Or you can say it.
Not on your Nelly.
There you go. And I asked Pat to say it because it's a very British phrase. It's a very strong no. And, you know, as a Canadian or North American, you might say no way or not a chance. But basically, it's a very, very strong no. Not at all. 100% no. I do not miss the weather in England. I think it was terrible. And then he explains why.
Yes, he says it's cold and it rains all the time.
I've heard that. Yes.
I can guarantee it. Okay, all the time means 100% of the time, or near enough. Now, it doesn't rain every single day in Britain, though it may certainly feel like that. So we can use the phrase all the time as an exaggeration. We don't actually mean 100%. We just mean a lot of the time.
And as a Canadian, I kind of laugh at that. It's cold in England, really? But it is very humid, right? It is very wet cold. In Canada, we have cold, but it only lasts for a few months of the year, and then the summers can be really hot and sunny, whereas in England, even the summers can be kind of cold and wet. So yeah, I can understand how he misses it, and it does kind of feel cold all the time, right? 100% of the time, all year round, he might also say. But then he points out, at least it wasn't humid, though. So it could be a little wet in England, but the air, even on a sunny day, can be dry. So that does make a difference as compared to
It feels
Taiwan.
wet when it rains, but when it's not raining, it doesn't feel humid. It's dry.
Exactly. Whereas in Taiwan, it can be a sunny, hot day, but the air is still wet. It still feels humid. So at least, when you say at least, you're kind of pointing out, well, it was bad, but it wasn't that bad. All right. So the at least part is kind of showing you that this is the good side of it. This was the thing that kept it from being totally terrible. It was just kind of bad, but, you know, there were a few good things, or there were a few things that saved it from being awful.
Yeah. Now, Lucia is thinking about her own time abroad. She lived in Canada for a while. She says it wasn't humid in Canada. Now, I've In my experience in Canada, very brief, it wasn't. I didn't experience it. You're from Canada. It does get humid sometimes.
It depends where you are.
Some parts.
Canada's a very big country.
Right.
In certain places it does. Depends kind of how close you are to the water or around a lake or a river or something like that. So, it kind of depends where you are. And it definitely doesn't last very long. It could be humid for a few days and then it'll cool off or warm up, and the amount of water or how humid it is will definitely change more frequently.
Okay, and Lucy is even thinking about that time.
Yeah, so she remembers being outside in Canada. It says the sky is clear and there are many trees. Okay, so yeah, depending on where you are, if you're in a mountain area, for example, it would definitely be less humid than in some other parts of the country. And also, yeah, the seasons really do change a lot in Canada, and they affect the weather a lot as well.
Yeah, but there is a downside to it not being humid. Lucia points out, my skin got dry though, so maybe she's used to it being humid, and so when it wasn't, her skin got dry. Let's look at the word skin, S-K-I-N, skin. It's a noun and our next word power word. So our skin is the thin organ that covers our bodies. So the purpose of the skin is to help keep our body shape. It can stretch, of course. The skin also protects what's inside our bodies. It keeps all the blood and liquids in there and things like that. It's kind of almost like a barrier to keep bad things out of our bodies, and it's just on the outside. Here's an example sentence. Be careful, that knife is sharp. It could cut your skin. Be careful, that knife is sharp. It could cut your skin.
Definitely be careful of that. You don't want to cut your skin because, ow, that would hurt. But another thing that can hurt is having very dry skin. And yes, if you go from Taiwan, which does have quite a lot of humidity, a lot of moisture and wetness in the air, many parts of the world will feel dry to you. You can notice that your skin gets dry, your nose feels dry as well. The air is much drier. When something is dry, we're basically saying that there's not a lot of wetness there. There's not a lot of moisture there, okay? So think of the desert as being dry. Think of your skin being dry when you're inside and the air conditioner's on. If you've just had a shower, your skin will be wet, and then you'll use a towel to make your skin dry again, or your hair dry. You don't want to go outside with wet hair. You want to have dry hair when you go outside. For example, my mouth always feels dry. Maybe I should drink more water. My mouth always feels dry. Maybe I should drink more water. And of course, dry is an adjective.
And it is spelt D-R-Y, dry. Okay, so that is, they're talking a bit. We're now going to move on a bit later in the day, and we see they are walking along a street.
And Simon, well, he's looking for another convenience store. I guess he's getting hot again. He's starting to sweat a little too much. He says, we should go into another 7-Eleven to cool off. Remember, they did this yesterday. Went into the 7-Eleven. He was loving the air conditioner. They bought some drinks in there. So he's saying we should go into another 7-Eleven. When you say you should do something, you're kind of putting it forward as an idea that you think is a good idea. You're kind of not telling people to do it, but you're suggesting it very strongly. So we use that modal verb should to talk about what you think, what activity you think is a good idea to do soon.
So Simon says he wants to cool off. Cool off has the same meaning as the phrase cool down we looked at yesterday, but we generally use it to talk about ourselves. You could cool something down, like cool tea by blowing on it, but when you say cool off, you're always pretty much talking about yourself. I want to cool off. Someone needs to cool off, something like that. And it means get cooler when you are hot. You could cool off by jumping in a swimming pool, by having a cold drink, or by going into a 7-Eleven and its air conditioning.
So that seems like a good way to cool off, to start to feel a little bit drier. But Lucia, she says, I have a better idea. And then she says, this way. Oh, interesting. So she's saying, I understand you do want to cool off. We will do that, but we're not going to do it by going into a store. And then she kind of orders Simon, or tells him, commands him, follow me. In other words, she says, this way. So follow me this way. Let's go in this direction.
And we see that Lucia leads Simon down a road.
Interesting. So she says, we can have some cold douhua. Oh, interesting. So she wants to have this cold snack Dohua. Interesting. It's a good thing to have when you're out in a hot day in Taiwan, and it's a little bit more refreshing than ice cream since it doesn't have so much sugar in it, right?
Yep, Dohua, of course, is just the same kind of stuff as tofu, but more like a pudding. It's silky, it's soft, and it's pretty tasty, especially when you add stuff to it.
That's right.
So Lucia points out it has lots of ice and sweet toppings. So toppings is food that is put on top of other food in small amounts. So if you think of a pizza, it's got meat, vegetables, cheese on it. These are toppings. If you get like shaved ice or ice cream, you could put toppings on it like beans, like taro, like fruit, like sweet sauce, all that kind of stuff. If you have an ice cream and put chocolate sauce or bits of cookie on top, these things we call toppings.
And she's found a place that is the place to go if you're in Tainan for Dohua. She says this store is famous for its Dohua. Well, if it's famous, then you definitely have to check it out. And we have to check out the word famous. It's a word, power word. Famous is how we spell the word famous. And if something is famous, we're just saying it's known by many people in many places. A lot of people know of it. It's not something that is new or unheard of or very unknown. No, everybody knows what it is. So people can be famous, movie stars, pop stars, professional athletes can be very famous, or things, places. You know, Taipei is famous for its night markets, or the National Palace Museum, or Taipei 101. Those are some famous places. And of course, you'll find lots of famous food in famous restaurants. So for example, we could say everyone knows about this famous restaurant. It's hard to get a table there. Everyone knows about this famous restaurant. It's hard to get a table there. Yes, if you go to a famous place, there'll probably be lots of other people there too.
Okay, so when Lucia explains all this about the Dohua, we see that Simon looks happy. He likes this idea a lot.
Yeah, so they go into the store, wait in line maybe a little bit, but finally they order some Dohua, so they get it. Yum.
It arrives and Simon says, "It looks scrummy." Now there's a word. That is another British, an informal British word, scrummy. I can't really say scrummy. I have to pronounce it in my local accent, which is scrummy. Oh, it looks scrummy.
Okay.
Well, this is an informal British word, and it means delicious. If something is scrummy, it's tasty, you really want to eat it, you want to eat lots of it.
That would be short for scrumptious, right?
Yeah, which I think was that Roald Dahl made that word up? Or?
Oh, did he?
I think so.
Okay, it's a
I'm
word
not
that means
sure, but I think he might have.
Delicious, right? If something is scrumptious, it's delicious, something you'll really enjoy to eat, taste, or have. And yes, certainly on a hot day, some Dohua would be scrummy or delicious, scrumptious, just what you want. And so they eat it. They eat it all up. They eat the Dohua.
And Lucia then asks Simon, how do you cool down in the summer in England? Not that we have a great deal of heat. We have maybe one hot sunny day per year. But on that day, how do you cool down?
Of course. And she's not really talking about, we go swimming or we sit in front of a fan or we enjoy air conditioning. You know, kind of like what kind of food do you have to beat the heat on a hot English summer day? And so Simon thinks about ice cream. Yeah, ice cream, of course, is a popular thing to eat all over the world on a hot summer day.
Yeah, England doesn't have any real special kind of summer cold treats like Taiwan does because we don't have much of a hot summer to eat them on. So Simon just says lots and lots of ice cream.
Like a Flake 99.
Oh, yeah.
Yum, yum. Anyway, so Lucia says, sounds great. Yeah, sure. She's from Taiwan, but she knows ice cream. She knows how good that could be on a hot day too.
Okay, we'll leave them to eat their Dohua while we're going to go first to our magic box and then we'll be back for our review time.
Box 找亮点。
嗨，大家好，我是 Peggy。生活在台湾，尤其假如你是北台湾的朋友们，一定都知道，台湾虽然是个宝岛，但有时候真的是湿度很高，尤其是北台湾一直下雨，特别是冬天的时候。The air is humid all the time。空气呢总是很潮湿。大家刚刚有没有发现我刚刚用了一个片语呢？没错，就是 all the time。要讲频率啊或程度的时候，除了 always 和 usually 以外， all the time 也是一个可以用来表达一直连续不断的意思的片语咯。 当然啦，在口语上有时候这是一种夸饰法，比如说 I didn't get along with my sister when I was little. We fought all the time. 我小时候不喜欢我妹妹，我们总是在吵架。这边的 all the time 就不是说我跟我妹24小时不间断在吵架啦，它是一种夸饰的说法。不过既然讲到了24小时，就不能不提另一个一直的说法，叫做 24/7， 写成24/7 24/7。这个词的意思呢，其实就蛮直觉的，那就是一天24小时，一周7天，全年无休的意思。比如说 Almost all convenience stores in Taiwan are open 24/7. 台湾几乎所有的便利超商都是24小时全年无休的。24/7 跟 all the time 一样，也可以拿来夸饰，比如说 I feel sleepy 24/7. 我一直24小时都很想睡觉。所以总结一下，一直除了说 always， 我们也可以用 all the time 或是 24/7 这两个用法。当然这些词有时候是一种夸饰，聪明的你可别被字面意思牵着鼻子走咯。最后来个小测验，请用 all the time 造下面这个句子吧。 Daniel 总是觉得肚子饿。 The answer is Daniel feels hungry all the time. 你答对了吗？
Wait for it. It's review time. 复习时间到喽。
So for our review time today, we're going to use some of our word power words to have a bit of conversation and use them in the right kind of context. So what do we miss about our home countries?
Interesting. That's a great question. There's so many things. Of course, I would probably put a lot of people at the top of that list. Family and friends, of course. You have to miss them. But talking about the seasons, I guess the seasons. I kind of miss the seasons. Every time I go home, I'm reminded that in Canada, you really have to check the weather because you can go from a warm day to a cool day in the middle of the week and then back to a warm day the next day. Whereas in Taiwan, it's kind of hot, and then cold for 2 months, and then hot the rest of the year. So I kind of miss that change a little bit, although it does make getting dressed every morning slightly more complicated.
Yeah. Again, people, other things I miss British sport. I do. I miss going to watch, my team play football or my team play cricket and all that kind of stuff.
I guess you can see that on television here, though.
But always in the middle of the night. I like going to do it on a Saturday afternoon.
True.
Kind of thing.
That's a good point.
It's part of a weekend routine sort of thing.
Yeah, well, at least you can do that if I want to watch hockey from Canada. It's 7 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
In Taiwan. So the time difference does make things a little bit harder. Makes you miss those. How about some food? Some of that great British food. What would you have if you could have, one thing for a lunch or something like that?
Beans on toast with Marmite.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm not going to explain, but baked
you're
beans
a simple
on toast.
man.
Yeah, you miss the simple things.
Absolutely.
I can get. There's not many places in Taiwan you can get a good jacket potato.
Oh,
so
okay.
I miss that as something that's readily available, or a pasty.
Or a pasty.
Yeah, like a baked kind of very flaky pastry with good stuff inside it. They're hard to find here.
Nice meat pie. Yeah, those are enjoyable, definitely.
Okay, so
what would I say from Canada? Well, poutine, my hometown, Montreal. But you can get a poutine here in Taiwan. It's a little different, but I guess if you close your eyes, it's almost the same thing.
Yeah. Okay, well, that is all we've got time for today. Thanks for listening, everybody. For A+ English, I'm Pat.
And I'm Mike.
We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Culture shock! Culture shock. Beating the heat. Warm-up question. How do you stay cool in summer? Simon and Lucia are at Anping.
Do you miss the weather in England?
Not on your Nelly. It's cold and it rains all the time. At least it wasn't humid, though.
It wasn't humid in Canada.
Lucia remembers being outside in Canada. The sky is clear and there are many trees.
My skin got dry though.
They are walking along a street.
We should go into another 7-Eleven to cool off.
I have a better idea. This way.
Lucia leads Simon down a road.
We can have some cold 豆花. It has lots of ice and sweet toppings. This store is famous for its 豆花.
They order some douhua.
Oh, it looks scrummy.
They eat the douhua.
How do you cool down in the summer in England?
Simon thinks about ice cream.
Lots and lots of ice cream.
Sounds great.
Word power!
Miss. Miss. Bill lives in the U.S. He misses his parents in Taiwan a lot. Bill lives in the U.S. He misses his parents in Taiwan a lot. Skin. Skin. Be careful. That knife is sharp. It could cut your skin. Be careful. That knife is sharp. It could cut your skin. Dry. Dry. My mouth always feels dry. Maybe I should drink more water. My mouth always feels dry. Maybe I should drink more water. Famous. Famous. Everyone knows about this famous restaurant. It's hard to get a table there. Everyone knows about this famous restaurant. It's hard to get a table there.
认识字汇
topping